All right, so let's just go ahead and jump in. I'm going to go and we'll get going. We got things to do today, people. We're busy. All right, so if you've ever run Google Ads for your practice and thought, I generally don't know if this is working, and I'm spending a lot of money, you are not alone. And honestly, that confusion is not your fault. I've managed Google Ads for my wife's practice for over 8 years now, and a dozen other therapy practices. And I've personally audited dozens of Google Ads campaigns from other practice owners in my coaching calls. And here's what I found: most practice owners are kind of left in the dark. It's like Google Ads is a little bit like voodoo. You're paying month after month for it, and you're unsure what's producing results, and you're just quietly losing trust that any of it is working, or is any of it even worth it. And by the end of this webinar, you're going to know exactly what to ask, what to watch for, and how to protect your investment before you sign a single Google Ads management contract. Okay. And if you like this topic and you're watching this on YouTube on the replay, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe to the channel if you like this content. All right, here we go. This webinar is brought to you by TheraSAS. There's my ad read. By the way, I'm also not selling Google Ads services or management. My mission here at TheraSAS is really to simplify sales and marketing for practice owners. So I put these 9 questions together that every practice owner needs to know before hiring a Google Ads manager, so you don't get ripped off and you never have to wonder what's working again. I think I also share that I have an SEO proposal generator or checker, because I found that when you hire SEO or hire Google Ads management, there's just so much in a black box and practice owners don't understand. So my goal is to give you tools and clarity in how to move forward in this. So to that end, I do need you to think about, I'm going to go full screen on this so you can maybe see it a little better. Well, I don't know if that actually did anything, but here you go. I'll go back to this one then. I need you to kind of have this framework in mind as you think about Google Ads. And actually, this is a great framework as just branding in general or marketing in general. So there are kind of these 3 stages of a process that somebody goes when they think about buying therapy services or signing up for therapy services. So a potential client intent, where do they go when a problem arises? So the first stage is problem aware. So let's say my marriage is in trouble, right? They are aware of that problem. And then they're solution aware. And the solution is marriage counseling. All right. So that's another stage in the buying cycle. They know that counseling is the solution to help for their troubled marriage. And then you have brand aware. And let's say Thrive Marriage Couples or counseling helps couples. So the brand aware is like, well, they already know their marriage is in trouble, but they really skip the solution and just go straight to the brand, because they know the brand, Thrive Marriage Counseling, is known for helping troubled marriages. And so they go right there. So I need you to think about these 3, and then I'm going to break this down a little bit more as I go into my first question here. All right. And feel free to screenshot this. I'm recording. If you signed up, you're going to get this. You're going to get this recording. So, all right. Question 1 is, how do you typically start campaigns? So this is the first question you want to ask a Google Ads manager. You might just want to ask how much you charge right at the very beginning. And that might be a deal breaker. But let's say you want to move forward with their services. First question, how do you typically start a campaign? So do they start broad and narrow down, or do they go straight to high intent keywords? So Google managers, you want to think in stages: problem aware, solution aware, brand aware. All right. So I will walk you through this again. And so hopefully it makes a little more sense. A keyword funnel strategy should be clearly explainable. They should be able to walk you through their exact approach for a practice like yours. All right. So you're going to be listening about their strategy. And you also want to know if they can't explain their keyword funnel strategy, then that's a red flag. Move on. If they can't explain a strategy at all, don't even hire them. You want some sort of strategy. So how do you typically start campaigns? So remember that problem aware, solution aware, brand aware. Okay, remember that from earlier? Can I go back here? Right there. What I did is I'm going to do this as kind of like in a vertical: problem aware, solution aware, brand aware, bit of a funnel. So when we think about content, I'm going to move from left to right here. When you think about content in the problem aware, you're thinking about blog posts. And blog posts like how to stop fighting with my spouse, signs your marriage needs help, communication problems in marriage, right? So this is, they're aware of the problem, and they might go to some blog posts, or they might type into Google, how do I stop fighting with my spouse? Or what are some communication strategies I can have? Service location pages on your website are the solution aware. So marriage counseling near me, counselor, therapist, Naperville couples therapy. So these are, they are aware that marriage counseling is the solution, or is the solution, is the solution to their problem. So you're going to have pages, location pages, service pages on your website that talk about that solution. And then you have your homepage. This is what I call the brand aware. So this is like Restored Hope Counseling. This is your practice. They're going to type your brand name into Google. All right. So let me break this down a little bit more. Couples therapy example. Okay, so this was me hand scratching on a piece of paper weeks ago when I was thinking about this webinar. So you have your blog post, problem aware, how to help anxious kids, signs of childhood anxiety. All right, so that is the problem aware, service aware, or solution aware, and you have your service and home pages. So you're going to have pages that are targeted towards child therapists near me, Hinsdale child therapist. Now, you're also going to have your Google Ads manager think about keyword strategy here. So you want to be bidding on child therapist near me or Hinsdale child therapist. Now, homepage is brand aware. So that's Kid Matters Counseling. That's my wife's practice. These are what brand, like sometimes, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but Google Ads managers might run brand campaigns and run ads. So when someone types in Kid Matters Counseling, your ad shows up. Now, there's some debate whether you should do that or not. I'll address that in just a minute. Okay. I'm going to go back here and just make sure we're clear. Hopefully this is all making sense. You're probably going to be hanging out in the solution aware when it comes to a keyword strategy. All right. Maybe blog post aware, but there's going to be a lot of clicks around these, or maybe not a lot of clicks depending on where you are, but people are going to be looking at other blog Google's going to be recommending other really big websites like the Mayo Clinic and Cleveland, the Cleveland Clinic and things like that. The Cleveland Clinic's actually running ads and they have blogs around this. It's such a high, there's just so much competition there. So, all right, let's keep moving here. Again, ask any questions, put it in the comments along the way. Okay, so trauma example, signs. Now, here's the cool thing with AI. I actually, can I show you this with? I'm really in the AA right now, and the group practice scaling summit that's happening next year in March of 2027 is all going to be about AI for your operations, finances, and marketing. But here's what I did. I just threw this image into AI and I said, hey, can you just recreate this image, but give it trauma examples? And look what it did. It actually like took my handwriting and then this is its own handwriting. Pretty cool. So again, service for trauma, solution aware, trauma therapist near me, local trauma treatment options. These are examples of keywords your Google Ads manager should be running on. I like these keywords. These are going to be a little more expensive, but the intent in someone buying is really, really strong. And so I like to focus my budget on the solution aware keywords, a lot less on problem aware, but on solution aware. This could also be, let me show you what EMDR. So solution is aware is EMDR therapist near me, licensed EMDR therapist, certified EMDR therapist, experienced EMDR therapist near me, near me, or near me. Those are all those keywords I think Google Ads Manager and for practice owners should be focusing on. You don't have a budget to be able to have blog posts that say, what is EMDR therapy, or does EMDR help with anxiety? You don't have money to be spending on Google Ads to direct people to blog pages on your website that has this content. I want people whose intent is they're ready to purchase, like they're on that verge. They want to do research on local practices. And then marriage counseling. So this is kind of another example of this. All right. So again, the brand aware harmonious hearts counseling. I made that up. Okay. And this is Gemini. I use Gemini to get these images in. All right. So I'm going to keep moving on. If I don't see any comments in the comment box, then I'm just going to keep moving. So how do you track conversions and what counts as one? So things that are really important, that this is what you need to ask. How do you track conversion? What counts as one? You have to define what a conversion event is. In my opinion, page views are not a conversion. Sometimes I go into these Google Ads accounts and they have hundreds of conversions. And because the Google Ads Manager set up a conversion event on a page view, that is not a conversion. A conversion for practices are, did they fill out the form? Did that person land on what we call a thank you page or a conversion page after they fill out that form? Google Ads managers love thank you pages. And if you have a TheraSAS form, we encourage you to redirect after somebody fills out the TheraSAS form to that thank you page so that the conversion can be recorded inside of Google Ads. Or phone calls is another one, or booked calendar consults with your intake team. Those are real conversion events. So for most practices, it's one of those three conversions. And then ask to see what exactly fires a conversion in their reporting before you agree to anything, and demand specific. So is it a thank you page or a conversion page that when somebody lands on that after they fill out a form or a calendar, is that count as the conversion? Does Google Ads fire off a conversion event? TheraSAS will be able to track that conversion, no problem. But again, this is going to be for your Google Ads Manager since they may not have direct access to TheraSAS. So how do you track conversions? Page views are not conversions. And let me keep going on here. So again, ask any questions along the way. Question number 3, do you run branded campaigns on my practice name? Okay, remember at the bottom of that funnel is Kid Matters Counseling or whatever, that the name of your practice. So people, so here's another one. I'll jump into a Google Ads account in one of my consulting calls and I'll see, 20 conversions. I'm like, great, this is awesome. And then you dig a little deeper and all those conversions or the majority of those conversions were actually from people typing in your branded name. So let's say they run a campaign and it's called Kid Matters Counseling. Well, someone's already looking for Kid Matters Counseling, so that's going to surface. But you'll see, hey, because the Google Ads Manager, again, their goal is to show you conversions, that what they're doing. But the conversions, half of those conversions were on branded names already, not child therapist near me. And so they're like, hey, we actually got you conversions. Well, they're running on your brand name already. So the intent was to already go to your brand and to seek services. So if someone already Googled your name, they are coming your way anyways. You shouldn't have to pay for that click. Now, again, those clicks are probably 10 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents. A lot of companies will run branded campaigns just to capture those clicks. Here's the other thing is people will sometimes run, say, type in Kid Matters Counseling and just to get the phone number. And so, but they'll click on the Google Ads number just to get the phone number. No, the Google Ads event or ad. And so you're paying for a click just for that phone number. And it's like, oh man. So branded conversions can artificially inflate campaign results and make performance look better than it actually is. Ask, are branded or non-branded conversions reported separately? If so, you may be paying for traffic you would otherwise get for free. So you might want to have them break out those conversions from your brand name to not. Okay. Give me a thumbs up in the comments if you're finding this helpful so far. Question number 4 is, will you own the assets you build for me? Okay, so many managers will build funnels or landing pages on their own platforms, okay, not yours. So they might build out, thank you, Nicole, for the smiley face. So many, so they'll be like, hey, you know what? I actually don't like your website. What we're going to do is we're going to build a landing page for you. It's already optimized for conversion. Hey, Jackie. Thanks, Bridget. It's already optimized for conversion. And it's just easier if we do it. We can spin up your Google Ads campaign a lot faster. All right. Well, okay. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what happens after you're done with your Google Ads campaign? A lot of times those landing pages will disappear. And a lot of times it's just a template that they use, and they'll swap in your colors and maybe some pictures and a little bit of branding here and there, but it's not yours at the end of the day. It's not your website, it's theirs. If the answer is anything other than yes, it's all yours, walk away. Ownership of your assets is a non-negotiable, in my opinion. And I'll dive in a little bit more. I've just seen it, and I think I have an example of this. Yeah, let's jump to an example. So I had a client that wanted to do Facebook ads. And I said, look, I don't do Facebook ads. I don't think they're a good fit. But she really wanted to do them. And I said, great. She found a company to do it. And so they ran Facebook ads, and they just created a landing page like this. And this is just kind of a boilerplate landing page with a simple form and a video and things like that. So they took a lot of the assets that I created in the landing page. Now, I did a case study on this, and I shared with it, I think at the Group Practice Scaling Summit last few months ago. So what ended up happening is they got over 100 leads, only one converted. Now, that's another conversation about Facebook ads and if they're worth it. But they spent a lot of money to convert, and then they only had one at the end of the day. Okay, so let me keep going here. Thank you, Meredith, with the yes. Oh, by the way, here, just so you know, we need to get some visual confirmation right there. Nicole, smiley face. Jackie, yep, this is helpful. Bridget, yes. Meredith got a yep. So, all right, thank you. Question number 5, will you optimize my existing website or build a separate landing page? This is a little bit related to the last question. The smartest long-term play is to build up your website so every page works as a landing page and it compounds over time. There's different philosophies of what a landing page should be. For me, I think every single page on your website, your service pages, your home pages, except for maybe your blogs, should be a landing page. What does that mean? It's optimized to convert clicks into clients at the end of the day. It's just optimized for that. You don't have to have a separate landing page or a funnel page to be able to do that. All right. So the difference real quick between a sales landing page and a traditional page, though typically a landing page that they're driving paid traffic to, like Google Ads, they strip out any links to move around. Like you have to either click on the page and submit a form, or you click off the page and leave. All right. Well, most people aren't. They want to browse around. They want to do some shopping, and they want to see your other pages on your website possibly. So I say a good Google Ads manager will help you optimize your page for conversion. They say it's called CRO, conversion rate optimization. Every dollar spent on your own website builds your asset, not a vendor's. Think of it as equity versus renting. Ask, if I leave, can I keep Google Oh, this is another one, is if you leave the Google Ads, if you leave them as a campaign manager, do you actually get to keep the campaign? Is it your own? You get to keep that data, your login access. So sometimes Google Ads managers will set up campaigns in their own management account. I never do this. I want my clients to always manage and have access and own their campaigns. And then that way you can pay the Google Ads fees directly. But sometimes they keep it all in-house. So if you leave, you lose your campaign as well. So get clear on that. And will they actually optimize your own website? I think that's important. They can always tell you how to optimize it and then work with your web team to do it. What do you know about form? Another question is, what do you know about form optimizations and conversion design? So going back to that that Facebook, shorter forms will always equal more conversions. You will have more people fill out shorter forms. Fewer fields is less friction. You only need enough to start a conversation. This is a longer debate on forms. Google Ads managers will always want short forms because then they can say, hey, we got conversion for you. On the flip side, you and your intake team are like, all these conversions never respond. They're not interested. They're just they're tire kicking, right? Like they're not qualified. They're not good. They ended up not being good fits. And so for me, I think having a Therasas form that will actually, we have seen conversions go down with longer forms, but the quality of those conversions are way higher. They're very much interested in services because they took time to fill out the form so that your intake team can qualify them even more on the end, and then they can hit the ground running when they make a phone call to reach out to that client lead and schedule them. That's just the nature of the beast when it comes to marketing. But Google Ads managers will always love a short form because they want to show ROI for your ads. And I get it. I used to do this, but my thinking's changed now. I think longer forms are better with good questions to qualify them. What do you know about form optimization? Okay, a dedicated landing page can outperform a full website for ad traffic, but only if you own it and keep it. So that's going back to the other one. If they build out a specific landing page for ads, can you keep that? All right. But I think at the end of the day, a good Google Ads manager will be able to help you update your website, make suggestions to optimize for your Google Ads campaign. You don't have to have a separate page site. So how do you charge for your Google Ads? Flat fee, percentage of spend, or both? Some managers charge a flat monthly fee. Let's say usually decent ones are charging about $400 a month. If you see anything lower than that, you might want to raise an eyebrow, but it's pretty soon. Honestly, here's what's happening. Google is slowly basically making AI take over. It's going to put a lot of Google Ads managers out of a job. They're already basically saying we're going to migrate some of your campaigns. I think the dynamic ad campaigns are going to be moving over to AI in the next 3 to 4 months. So, and that's just a whole nother ballgame, how to actually manage AI, because it's so automatic, and Google's not going to give you any controls at the end of the day. Maybe 1 or 2 controls, but not much. All right, so some managers charge a flat monthly fee. Some take 10 to 20% of your ad spend, and some do both. So some will say, hey, we're going to charge you $600 a month plus 10% of whatever you spend on the platform. All right, so if you spend $1,000 a month, they're going to add an extra $100 a month on top of their monthly base fee. Or maybe they'll just do a flat percentage. Always ask if there's a setup fee on top of the monthly rate. This will often, this is kind of a surprise sometimes, but just ask if there's a setup fee. Make sure you know your monthly total management fee plus ad spend before you say yes, and go with that number in mind. Okay. The next one, we're coming into the end. Do you have a minimum monthly ad spend requirement? So some managers will actually not work with you unless you have a minimum amount of money to spend. And you need to know this firsthand. Okay, so why a minimum monthly spend? It takes a little bit for Google Ads to kind of spin up and get going, and for Google to optimize for the campaign. And so the other thing is the desire for the ads manager to get you a lot of traffic, and the more traffic, the higher likelihood of conversions. So they might start off by saying, hey, we encourage you to spend $1,000 a month. And then you can always pare back, but they're just trying to get a bunch of traffic, get a bunch of conversion events happening so Google can learn who the audience is and things like that. All right. Eventually AI is going to take all this over, but you want to know if there's like a minimum requirement. Ads managers want to be successful, which I already talked about. So they may require a higher spend range, but at the end of the day, the manager may be like, look, I only work with high spenders. And so if you're spending less than $1,000, you're not a good fit. They have their boundaries too. But you can always negotiate a fee, contract length, and minimum spend. Don't be afraid to ask. Everything's on the table. Don't be afraid to ask. All right. Question number 9 is, what does your contract and cancellation policy look like? So I would say push for a month-to-month. Maybe there's like a 3-month minimum. That's fine. But don't lock in a long-term contract until you've seen some results of their work. Ask, can you provide references from other therapy practices you've managed? And niche and experience does matter. What reporting will I receive and how often? Make sure it's in plain English, not just a dashboard full of numbers. I'll get this too from practice owners. So like, you want to see the results, and they'll send it to me, and it's just like a bunch of gobbledygook on a page. You're like, it doesn't, do you understand what they're saying here? And they're like, no, I don't. So those are your 9 questions. All right, a couple resources I want to share with you before I get into answering your questions. And Nicole has a question here, and I will get that. Yes, Nicole. Yeah, I think that was one of your questions. I'll get to that. just a second. Okay, so Google Ads and SEO sometimes go hand in hand. So I have a video on my YouTube channel that says, "Don't get ripped off." And it's basically, I've had lots of conversations with Therasas subscribers and those who've done demos and other practice owners. They've gotten hosed on SEO services. So I basically put together a video on how to spot bad SEO agencies, but I also created a free SEO proposal checker where you can upload your SEO proposal and it will spit out a little bit of a grade based on what I think works for SEO, and it'll give you some feedback on it. So that video is on the YouTube channel. So be sure to check out all those videos that I've been creating, things around Therasas, but also simplifying sales and marketing for practice owners. Therasas and Google Ads, they actually do work together, and you can track the leads inside of this. So for example, you can see inside Therasas, when you can integrate your Google Ads with Therasas, it pulls in the data, but you can see sales and leads. These are they're essentially the same thing. It's just how you set it up. So in my wife's account, I have both. But if I was to click on this, it would actually show you the contacts that converted from a Google ad. But I have all these help desk articles in there so you can share with your Google Ads team and how to track the Google Ads so Therasas can read that data, right? All right, let's get to some of your questions. And I'm going to start with Nicole here. Let's go ahead and do this. And then I will bring this up on here. All right, so Nicole asks, what is a decent minimum budget for everything, ad spend plus management fees? If you can start at $1,000 a month, I think that's great. I think $1,000 will get you some testing and just see what kind of data you're getting in. The data you should be seeing is how people are searching for your services. Google will reveal some of those search terms for you. And just to kind of get things going, I think it's testing is really helpful. With some of my partnership clients back in the day, I always start with like, can we just get a minimum of $400 a month and spend? So it's like $100 a week just to see how we're doing. And a lot of that depends on where you live. If you have a high population density, your volume is going to go up. If you're kind of remote, let's say you're kind of in the Salt Lake area, I have a couple clients that I have some ads running out there. There's just not a lot of volume. So that's something to consider. Meredith wrote, how do you anticipate AI changing any of this? Should we wait and see how that shakes out before moving forward with Ads Manager? I think Google's been pushing this. I think their AI tools are actually trash on Google Ads. I think they end up, you can do two things. One, AI can help generate, Google Ads AI tools will help you generate some ads for you and suggestions, and also like keywords. I actually find they're not actually that smart when it comes to mental health yet. So what I would do is I would go into Claude or ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm looking to start a Google Ads campaign. Here's my brand information. Here's my niche. Here are my specialties. What Google ad campaign headlines and descriptions would you recommend? Now, what's cool about that, you can have this information, and then when you go to interview a Google Ads Manager, because I still think you need some humans at the end of the day for this stuff. When you go to a Google Ads Manager, you kind of have like a checklist here of words that you could then recommend and submit. Like, hey, look, we are EMDR specialists, so I want EMDR therapist near me, expert EMDR therapist near me. You could start suggesting keywords, which is always helpful. So now you're having a collaborative conversation with your Google Ads Manager. Well, so as far as AI inside Google, I have a feeling that they're going to be like, oh, you have a private practice, give us your website URL and we'll develop the campaign for you. Do you approve these things? Yes, 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 or no. And then you're gone. And then Google's off to the races, and they probably won't show you much data. They're going to want to make sure you have some sort of conversion tracking going on, right? So it's just like, they'll just take it from there, right? That's where it's going. I think we're probably 6 months to a year out from Google just fully making everything automated. What is going to happen is going to put thousands and thousands of Google ad managers out of jobs, unless they can keep the one thing that I still do. It's called manual CPC, manual cost per click, where everything's more manual and more controllable. But Google is starting to take control away from Google Ads managers. And let's just say they're trying to take control from all of us away. Another one here, Nicole, are there any ads managers you recommend specifically for therapists and group practice owners? Please include yourself too if you do that. I do not do that. I will do audits of Google Ads. I've done audits where I've saved practice owners like $3,000 a month. So that was the most egregious of it. I do kind of have a list, and I don't have firsthand experience. Give me a second. Let's see here, Chris, Moonraker.ai is one. I like Chris's work there. I think they do Google Ads. Give me a second here, and I can throw these up on the screen just a minute. And there's another guy, I think his name's Aaron. That's a good question. You might just want to email me on that. Actually, one second. Since we're all here, let me just bring something up here. Because I've had a call with him, and he does a percentage split with some ad spend on it. So I would check out, I'm going to put this in the comments. I'm not sure if you can see these, but Moonraker.ai, and then there's another one, Chris Schaefer, Google Ads down in Texas. Let me find, it's just chrisschaefer.com. His video is really funny. I actually hired him for some coaching. That's another really cool thing he does. Oops, that didn't show up. chrisschaefer.com. What you could do is you could set up your own Google Ads campaign, and then you can hire him to coach you to set it up and everything. Why can't I think of his name, the other guy's name? One second. Because I think if you can have a conversation with 2 or 3 Google Ads managers, that would be good. One second, because he is an affiliate of Therasas, the person I'm thinking about. Andrew Simon from practicecultivator.com. I'm going to put that in here, practicecultivator.com. He does Google Ads as well. So go ahead and check those resources out for you, okay? So thank you for that question. All right, so let's jump over to some other questions. How do I know if I'm not wasting my money is one of the questions. So again, I think if you can ask for Google Ads reports from your managers that can kind of break it down for you, that'd be good. You kind of have to know what it costs for you to acquire a new client lead and your profitability numbers and breaking point. So like, for example, like I know for Kid Matters, my wife's practice, and some others, they don't always need new leads. Like they have a lot of traffic coming to them already, but we just run a little something. We spend like $30-$40 a week on it, and just to kind of keep the ads going and showing up, because there's good brand awareness. Here's the cool thing about Google Ads is that you don't pay for it unless they click on it. So they might see your brand name and see your ad. That's a brand impression, which is nice, but that's basically free unless they click on it. So, okay, here we go. Nicole has another question. My practice is pretty good, decent SEO. I've worried that Google Ads will be paying for things we already rank well for. Any advice on how to make sure we aren't paying for leads that would already capture through SEO? One, I would just double check and forgive me, Nicole, I can't remember. I think you're a Therasas user. Make sure you're tracking. You have on their form, how did you hear about us? And that way you can pull up a report how people are hearing about you. That's anecdotal. And then inside of Therasas, under your advanced reporting, you can see if you have your link set up, right, the tracking, you can see the Google Ads traffic coming in, organic traffic, and things like that. And you can kind of build a report. So when it comes to, if you already have really great SEO, like some of my practices, you may not have to spend as much. If I were you, if you had a particular niche like EMDR, or there's like intensives or something, run those ads and see if you can get a few little extra traffic clicks. The gold standard is, and this is all going to be changing because more AI search results, is that you can have your ad show up at the top. You show up on Google Maps, and then you show up organically underneath Google Maps. That was always like the triple threat, like the gold standard. I like having that. So I don't know if that actually answers your question. It's up to you. If you have great traffic coming in, you don't have to run Google Ads. Just run it on the services that you want to. Let's see here. If we had to choose, would it be better off funding a healthy Google Ads campaign or a local business development role? I know both is best. Yeah, I think put a little bit of money into Google Ads if you want, maybe a few $100 a month. But if you can get someone in the community and start developing relationships, the ROI on that is way more at the end of the day. Getting those referral sources. I think you should do both, a little bit of both. But if you actually have the budget to get someone to make connections in the community and build referral sources, that I would put more money towards that. It's the long game, but it pays off in the long run. And make sure you have a CRM like Therasas so you can track all those referral sources, and that person on your team could set up a pipeline to be able to do like an outreach campaign, and you can just have all that data there. Okay, thanks, Nicole. Thank you. Thanks for being a Therasas subscriber. All right, let's go to the next question. These are all really good questions. How do I analyze tangible results from meta ads? Ooh. When it comes to meta ads, you have to think about what is the goal? What is the conversion goal of that particular ad? So you can have like lots of different campaigns with different goals. When it comes to social media, I rarely will go for the conversion kill of schedule an appointment. Like just go right for the heart. People go to Meta to disappear, to look at family photos, not to receive ads. So what I would do though, if you run Meta ads, oh good, yes, thank you here, Meredith. Yeah, we love Therasas. Yep, absolutely. If you run Meta ads, run it to a lead generator, like a free PDF. Use a Therasas form for someone to download, but try to get like a free PDF or a free webinar or something. Run something of value. The goal would be try to get their email address, I think, at the end of the day. Or just give away things for free, and build that brand awareness and try to maybe get people to your Facebook page and like the page itself. So it just all kind of like depends on what the goal is. I just don't like meta ads for schedule an appointment, right? Going straight for that the big conversion. Starts with small and by giving away free things. Keep putting questions in the chat, but I'm going to keep going on the ones you have here. How much should I reasonably spend to make an impact with Google Ads? I think I said a minimum of $400 a month. If you can start there, you get some data. Spend more and you can get more data, but Google will happily spend your money. So you want to make sure you have some good controls in place when it comes to bidding. You make sure you only bid on those keywords that are like the solution aware, what I really like, the therapist near me or the services near me type of thing. And test it out. How do I know if Google Ads are working? And can I use other tracking given HIPAA? Yeah, just know that you are, your Google Ads are working by setting up those conversions. Make sure. And then, of course, Therasas is HIPAA compliant, so you can track it in there. Are my Google Ads even working? Going back to what is the strategy? If you want to get a bunch of eyeballs and just get clicks to your website, then they're working. If you want them to convert into paying clients, then you want to make sure you have your conversion setting up to make sure you're tracking that. If it's filling out a form or making a phone call. How do I make a Google ad that brings real leads and converts to clients? So as I conceptualize Google Ads, I like to always I like to think about a geolocator. Usually people are looking for like local. So in the actual headline, I'll say like Hinsdale Child Therapist or Hinsdale Marriage Therapy or whatever, Salt Lake Teen Counselor. I think people like that localness of it. And then sometimes also having like expert therapists or expert child therapists. I like having some of those names in the title just to get people to click. Again, you only have so many characters for your headlines, so you got to make them count. And then Google has a lot of things around like formatting and what you're allowed to not have in that headline. So that's kind of the first thing. How do I make Google ad that bring you real leads and convert clients? I think the other part is your keywords. So you want to focus on that solution aware. So EMDR therapist near me, because you want to be able to say, when someone goes into Google and types in a search query, what is their intent? Is their intent to start looking for services and to buy them? Then what would they actually be typing? So a lot of those near me searches the intent is to buy. So I try to focus those keywords around those near me to get more of those real leads. How do I get clear on how to run Google ads? That's a longer conversation. So you can always set one up and go to brandyourpractice.com and click on the schedule a coaching call with me. We could jump into your Google ads together or watch some YouTube videos because this stuff's going to be changing a lot with AI anyways. Do I really need an ads manager or can I do this myself? I think you could probably hire an ads manager for 3 to 6 months. And if you're into educating yourself, check out some YouTube videos, then you could take over the management after 6 months if you want. I mean, that's what I've done. I had Google teach me, actually. This is back in the day. Google would actually teach you how to do this stuff because they wanted small businesses to start using the platform 8-10 years ago. All their support was American, or when I should say it's all USA based. Now a lot of it's overseas. But I had this one guy spend an hour with me every week for like 4 months. And it was awesome. It was a great education. It's how I learned how to do it. So hire a Google Ads Manager or work with Chris, set it up yourself and hire Chris Schaefer down in Texas to teach you how to do it. All right. Any more questions, please put it in. But I think you might be ready to jump into the deep end a little bit here to run your Google Ads. So a couple things. If you're running Google Ads, you want to make sure your website is optimized for it. Okay, so I have some videos on my YouTube channel around that. I might do another. I'm doing with Nate at Navigator Bookkeeping today, or Friday. I'm going to be doing a website breakdown. So put a comment, leave it in YouTube comments, or put it in the comments here if if a website breakdown might be fun for you, and maybe say, can we optimize this for Google Ads or something like that. I'm always thinking about optimizing for conversion, anyways. But if you don't have a CRM yet, CRM is going to be really important. If you're investing in Google Ads, you want to be able to have a CRM to be able to track where those ads are coming from, but also follow-up's really important. And the riches are in the niches, but the fortune's in the follow-up. So if you're investing in Google Ads, you want to make sure you have a great, solid follow-up process. Okay, so just go to therasas.com and check out the CRM.